Good morning. My name's Jim, and today I'm going to ask for your help. There's a lot of odd things that happen when we record these invisible people, and I'm just going to give you the facts today, and perhaps you can see something that I don't see. I don't understand. We'll start when we turn on these recorders. When when I'm in the States, Colleen does all the studies. She has 9 recorders. We'd like them turned on simultaneously so we can cross-check sounds between them. Uh, she'll line them up on a counter, stretch her fingers like she's playing a very difficult chord on a piano. Turns them all on, but she's got to stand there and make sure they are all on. And it only takes a second or 2 seconds to stare at each recorder, but she has to do that. She stands there very quietly and looks at each recorder. What those recorders capture sometimes, not all the time, but most of the time, out of those 9 recorders, let's say the second one in on the left captures a woman saying something. Perhaps the third recorder from the right is a man saying something to somebody. These sounds are just weird because if it was us speaking, it would be heard on all the recorders. We kind of look at that as horizontal sound. When we speak, the sound goes horizontally out everywhere. These sounds aren't horizontal, they're vertical. They have to be approaching the recorders in a vertical fashion. For an individual recorder to capture a voice and the recorder right next to it touching doesn't. So I have been trying to drag these voices out of the background that they're in on these recordings so I can let you listen to them, so I can put them online. Over the years, I've given audio files to different sound engineers who have tried to help me. Nobody can do it. The latest was last summer, in the middle of the pandemic. I gave a couple audio files to a friend of a friend, and he tried everything he couldn't do it. But the interesting thing he did come up with was that these are not sound waves that we generate with our voice. These are electromagnetic sounds. They're in the electromagnetic frequency. That, of course, I had to Google it, just like you are going to have to Google it. So these voices are generally all electromagnetic. It's very rare that we capture a voice on multiple recorders. So we're not sure what's going on with that. But what we did do was to keep the electric on in the houses when we do these studies, to aid that electromagnetic energy. The only thing we shut off is refrigerators. Colleen will shut off her heating and cooling system because they're noisy, and we can't have any noise. It has to be a very, very quiet environment to hear these voices. And then there's background noises. When someone is speaking, we can generally hear something, well, not all the time, but sometimes we can hear something in the background. The first time it happened was at Hilbert. A woman was answering a question, and a clock was chiming behind her. There's no clock in Hilbert. I'm not sure if that woman was even in the house when she was answering the question. Or was she answering the question from a different time? But yet she was interacting with us. Music. Sometimes when somebody is speaking, we can hear music in the background, all different kinds of music. We've heard almost like TV shows in the background when somebody speaks. Is that person in the house when they're speaking to us, when they're responding answering questions. And sometimes we hear these sounds without anyone speaking. I have recorded in this house, and I'm in the middle of farm country, surrounded by woods and farms, far, far from civilization. I've recorded city noises in here. It sounds like Market Street in Philadelphia, broad daylight, pre-pandemic noise. The taxis are beeping, the trucks, the buses, general murmur of people on the sidewalk, all of that city noise I've recorded here in the middle of nowhere. In Hilbert, we recorded card shuffling, as if a poker game's going on in the corner, and all you can hear are the cards being shuffled. In Colleen's house, it was really odd. Sacks of grain being dragged across her foyer. That's the only way I can explain it. There was never a barn there. There was never another building there. It was a cornfield forever before Colleen built. Sacks of grain being dragged across the floor. I don't know. And then there's a movement of sound. It moves in just really weird ways in the afterlife. For instance, in this house, I had 5 recorders at the time, 4 on the second floor where I'm sitting now, and 1 downstairs at the entranceway to the house. A door slammed, and it was loud. I didn't hear it in real time, but it was loud on the recorders. But it was only captured on the recorder in the bedroom on the west side of the house, and the recorder downstairs on the east side of the house. So that sound, and it skipped all the other recorders. So that sound moved on like a 30-degree angle through reinforced concrete floor from one side of the house to the other, skipping all the other recorders. Same thing happened with a family I recorded, again on the west side, in my bedroom on the west side of the house. It was a loud family, mother, father, and a cooing baby. They're like giggling, and they're just 2 adults playing with a small child. That was also recorded only in the bedroom and downstairs. Those voices, those loud voices, skipped all the other recorders in the house. In Hilbert, we used to line up 3 recorders against the outside wall. That would give us some interesting stuff sometimes. One time, the middle recorder, the center recorder, captured like a deep rumbling sound, as if a car was passing the house. The other recorders didn't capture it. It only happened on that one recorder. And the same thing with a loud woman. She was almost as loud as you can hear me right now on the 2 outside recorders. On the center recorder, you could barely hear her. It just doesn't make any sense. And another common issue that we have every time we do a study is echo. Some of these people that respond to our questions have so much echo in their voice. It's almost, it distorts their voices. It's very difficult to make out what they're saying. Why do they have echo in their voice while another man on the same recorder who makes the next comment doesn't? Some of these people are in some kind of an echo chamber, metal room, and most aren't. And that goes for male or female. We get the echo. And lastly, voices are louder in this house than in Colleen's. And it's always been that way. It just doesn't make any sense. Why are people so much louder here in this house? The only difference between the two houses is truly altitude. Colleen's house is about 500 feet above sea level. I'm at almost 5,000 feet above sea level. So what could that possibly do? Sure, the air's a little thinner here. Does that have anything to do with it? How does the electromagnetic range tie into altitude? I don't know. That's why I'm asking you. Thanks. Subscribe. It's really important to me. Subscribe. I will chat with you soon. Leave a message. Thanks.